What up, what up, what up? Football fans all over the world. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. You all know what time it is. It's time for the real deal NFC East Round-Up. Punch that intro. What is going on, Daniel Barry, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Appreciate you. But what's going on, Adam, man? NFC East, man. It's been a crazy first month of the season for the NFC East, man. But how you feeling out there, man? We'll get into it in a minute, man. How you
Oh
doing today,
man!
brother?
First off, I want to thank you for always bringing the heat in that intro. Like it just fires me up. It fires me up, and if it doesn't fire you guys up, I don't know what will. But you know what else fires me up? The shittiness that you're talking about with this NFC East. Oh my word, Mac, we talk about we've had this show what in July we started this show, right? In the NFC
Yeah.
in the training camp. And what did we talk about? The Eagles, the Cowboys, how well they looked. And here we are a month into the season and a team out of nowhere. I can't even, man. We gotta talk about it. We just gotta talk about it, man. We just gotta talk about
Yeah, we'll be digging in. Let's get right to Thursday night, man. Let's go to Thursday night. New
it.
York
Wow.
Football
Let's
Giants
go.
hosting the
Let's
Dallas
go.
Cowboys at MetLife Stadium.
Here we go.
Cowboys picking up the win 20-15. This game was just it could have went so
Ugly.
many different directions, so many different ways. It was just mistake after mistake. I mean, the penalties, just crazy amount of flags being thrown in this game. Let's this was just. I mean, look, I heard this. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get right into it. I mean, let's go to the quarterback, Daniel Jones. Let's go to this guy. Okay, now, me personally, I look. He didn't play like terrible in this football game by no means. But yet again, not able to get this team into the end zone, and just some of the connections. Just if you could just want to see better balls sometimes, where and just give guys more opportunities to make plays. That was a guy, somebody I can't even remember who it was. Somebody I heard said something that and it was kind of weird. It made some sense. It was Daniel Jones didn't isn't the reason why the Giants lost, but he was also the reason why they didn't win. And it just kind of when you wrap your head around that, it's like it kind of yeah. I mean, like you just like for a
He's a
guy that's getting the money he's getting. I mean, you just want to see more. And granted, like I said, he didn't play bad. Like, he didn't play bad by any means. And I agree with he wasn't the reason the Giants lost. I'll get to another reason why the New York Giants lost this football game. That's still pissing me off to this week. And I don't know why more people ain't as mad about it as I have been ever since I did my aftermath after that goddamn game on last Thursday night. 24 carries for 26 yards against that bullshit ass run defense is unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
oh my god.
1.1 yard a carry is unacceptable
Oh man.
against that run defense. Against a defense that was getting ran on for the entire first few games of this season. And that's what we get against this team on Thursday night. 24 carries for 26 yards collectively amongst all the running backs and whatever the little bit Daniel Jones contributed as well to that. That's absolutely terrible. Absolutely. That can't happen in any game ever. That's way that the balance is way off right there. Like that's what I mean. Like in this game when I was talking about Daniel Jones, like he didn't play god awful, but he still didn't make enough plays himself either to get this team the W. I mean, one touchdown is all this team all it needed. One touchdown with the other field goals. That would have been good enough. Just couldn't even get that. And then I'm not. Adam, go ahead, take it over. Go ahead, Adam, man. I need to bring
Well.
it back,
You
dial
well,
it back
Mac.
a little bit.
While Mac calms his engine, I'm gonna rev mine up because I'm on that same boat as you, Mac. Nomads is saying it best. DJ ain't it. This is a game that if you wanted your legacy to be cemented, you got to win this game. You had ample opportunities to hit deep balls. He made a point right here, and this is the play that it gets on my nerves. I tried to rewatch the game. That free play to Slayton that DJ missed, inexcusable. Exactly. It is inexcusable to have a free play, which you knew about, which you did the right thing. You correctly identified it, and then you got the interception. Now, I get that it was an interception, but you should have a touchdown on that play. You score a touchdown, penalty is declined, Giants score a touchdown, the crowd's going wild, we're celebrating. Oh my God, are we celebrating, right? And we're talking about Daniel Jones in a different light. Right now, what we're talking about Daniel Jones like, he's a backup quarterback. He's a glorified backup quarterback playing right now. And if you want to flip it to the other side, Dak Prescott made those plays. Dak Prescott outplayed Daniel Jones in the short amount of time that he had the ball. Okay, because remember, we won time of possession. Mac, you talk about lack of run game. We had time of possession, lost the game. Okay, time of possession, we lost the game. Right? I'm mad about the rushing yards, but I blame that on Joe Shane for going out there and letting Barkley walk to another team because you didn't want to pay a running back. You didn't believe it was going to help out. Well, guess what? You think Saquon Barkley would have helped on Thursday night? If the answer is yes, then maybe you should have thought about that before you kicked him to the curb for a secondary back in Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary was never the bell cow. He was never a bell cow. And you're making him a bell cow back.
Never.
Okay? And what offenses does that guy work in? He worked in Buffalo. Let me guess. Josh Allen was there. Stephon Diggs was there. They threw the ball downfield. They didn't need him to be a feature back. Now, you go, where does he go? He goes to Houston. Let me guess. They have Dameon Pierce there and C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, and all these other guys where he doesn't have to be the guy. You bring him here for less money, give him the same number, expect the same results, and what do we get? We're getting fucking cheeseburgers from the fucking microwave. That's what we're getting. We're getting shit. You know why? Because it's just not there. You didn't want to invest in that position. You didn't. What you did was you gave us a receiver who, by the way, is playing out of his mind. And, oh, by the way, didn't practice today. Why? Because all you're doing is short murder balls. Everyone wants to talk about this great game he played, that Daniel played. They ran 5-yard routes. 10 of his passes were behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, the reason the Giants' offense is broken is because of the quarterback, but the reason the run game is not good is because the way you did this. You didn't think that running back was important. Ask that to the Baltimore Ravens. Ask that. They gave money to Derrick Henry. Look what that did. Ask the Tennessee Titans. Tony Pollard had a big run. You know the Giants' offense doesn't have any runs over, like one run over 20 yards, 1 or 2 runs. We're in the bottom of the league. We're in passing yards. Daniel Jones is 3 of 15 on deep balls. This offense will not work. And the problem is you supplanted one of the best players for a worse player and only got one upgrade. You got rid of an all-star tight end. You got rid of an all-star back. And you brought in an all-star receiver. But you didn't replace the all-star back or the tight ends. We don't have a tight end. I haven't seen one since they're on a milk box somewhere. If you find a tight end back, you call me because I want to know where he is. I'll go pick him up. You know what I mean? We don't use him. We have 3 tight ends on the field and still can't run the
football. One pass to a tight end on Thursday night. One pass to a tight end Thursday night. One.
Dude, you had 3 tight ends on the field and you still can't get positive yardage on 26 carries? What in the bloody hell are we doing? And you know what? This is what you're not going to win football games like this. Point banking period. And the reason why I think they're going to have a tough time beating teams is because a game like the Cowboys gave you, mind you, Dak Prescott had a good game. He had a great game. Okay, in the time that he had the ball, which was like 10 or 15 minutes less than the Giants, he put on a masterclass. He hit the shots when he needed to. He took the sacks. He orchestrated the offense where he needed to, and they didn't have to put themselves in harm's way. But when they needed to score, they got the score. When they needed a field goal, they went down and drove. The last field goal they had that would have salted the game, there was no resistance from the Giants. There was no defensive resistance. Okay, so when you play that type of offense like you played in 2022, which worked because you played against a bunch of shitty teams and teams that didn't recognize you. No, by the way, Wink Martindale turns the ball over. Can we get a turnover defense? Can we do something? You know what? This team doesn't. I don't want to talk about this team anymore because this whole team is broken. And then I'll give you this. The last thing I'll say about this, because I can't just blame the offense. I'm blaming the entire show. Okay, Brian Dable, you come out and say, "Oh, Daniel had a good game." You fucking lost, bro. How about you say we didn't throw it good, we didn't block good? You're praising people in a loss. What are we doing? The only guy that has fire on this team is Dexter Lawrence. He's over there, mad at his report, mad at his desk, looking like he wants to throw one of these reporters through his locker because he's tired of fucking losing. And I got Brian Burns going, "Hey, Malik, how you doing? Are you okay?" Hey, no, there's no direction. There's no accountability. And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to win this way. You got to hit big plays, and you got to create turnovers. The Giants don't do either.
Look, it's just like I said, frustrating when you watch the way this game transpired. And by the way, what's going on, Zion? Appreciate you stopping in too, bro. Definitely appreciate you. Zion, that's our guy, our co-host Premium Takes, which will be making a return to you real soon. But this the frustrating thing was with the New York Giants here in this game was, like you said, and they controlled time possession. They kept the Cowboys offense kind of off the field. They absolutely did. I mean, for the most part, they did from that standpoint.
They played good,
but they just couldn't take advantage. They couldn't take advantage of the opportunities that were given to them. I mean, they were moving the ball at least through the air, at least because clearly they weren't moving the ball on the ground as we already discussed. But they were moving the ball. It was, I mean, the little short. Short passes. Right. I get it, but they were getting the ball. They were moving the ball well on the Cowboy defense. Let's face it, the Cowboy defense wasn't exactly shutting this Giants offense down until they obviously were getting to the field goal range, and then the Giants couldn't. That's all the Giants continued to settle for. Which, by the way, Brian Dable, we're a bad football team. When you got that ball down to the fucking 3-yard line, you don't fucking send the field goal unit back out there. You fucking go for it, man. That was a bitch ass move right there. That's another move that disgusted me in this fucking game. You get down there to the 3-yard line, and we're the New York fucking Giants going against the Dallas Cowboys that came in here last season, week 1, and fucking threw a 40 burger on our asses while shutting us the fuck out. And you bring the goddamn field goal unit out like we're gonna kick this field goal, this little less than an extra point field goal. Like, come on,
4th and 3. 4th and 3. What are we doing?
Give me a break. But yeah, that was another. Yeah, that was just something else. You know what I mean? That just grind. I mean, but
losing teams find ways to lose.
Daniel Jones. Let me tell you something about Dan. And I don't mean, I'm not gonna say it's not to be, because like I said, I'm on the side where he didn't literally play. He didn't play, like I said, he didn't play god awful in this football game. It's just that he just didn't do enough to take the team over the top either. But Wan'Dale Robinson, 14 targets. Malik Neighbors, 15 targets. The next most after that targeted receiver out of that is Darius Slayton with 5. No one else had more than 1 target that he threw the ball to. Then, I mean, I get it. Malik Neighbors is a dog. Get the ball in his hand as much as you possibly can. Wan'Dale Robinson, I guess you're feeling like he's your next best guy. But at the end of the day, there's still more than those two out there. I mean, like, okay, the play, and this is a prime example. When Malik Neighbors got the concussion, the play when he went down with the concussion, and he was obviously gone for the rest of the game. When he was gone for the rest of the game, and he came back on that next play, I don't know if that was the 4th down play or whatever, the deep ball. Yeah. I already knew that you're gonna just throw the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson wherever the fuck he was at on the field. And I just knew that's where that pass was going to. Jalen Hyatt was on the other side, by the way. I'm just saying.
Oh, you know what?
I'm just saying. But I knew that he was. Go ahead, take it away.
You're bringing up something good, because I didn't know that Wan'Dale had that, and I think what you're alluding to is more diversity in the playbook. because if you're and you said something about 15 targets, guess what? How many of those targets were over 20 yards? Like the reason why you're giving it to Wandell and Malik so much is because of their after the catch ability. Well, guess what happened? They got hurt because you got them pounded into the ground because of all the throws that you're making to this guy. They're getting pounded. They don't have a chance of free release. Darius Slayton had 4 plays. Jalen Hyatt didn't even have one. He didn't have one. Like, what are we doing here? See, this is why Dable is having a problem, because his quarterback is limited, and that's what he is. He's a limited player. It doesn't mean he's bad. He's just not great. Okay, he's limited, and with this limitation, this is what you get. And when you're staring down guys, I didn't even know Wandale Robinson had 15 targets. I mean, my goodness. And we can blame him for the drop and whatever. Things happen. I get it. Receivers are going to drop balls, right? That's what is going to happen. Quarterbacks are going to throw incomplete passes. But this is a game that you're right, Mac. And maybe we need to look at this the way No Mets is looking at it. Because I almost agree with him to a certain extent. There are ways where I feel like he doesn't trust the quarterback, so he does like a little handoff or a little dump pass, or one of these like easy routes that doesn't like. How many passes were beyond the sticks? There weren't many. It was like Wandell in open space, 5 yards, jukes a guy out. Malik Neighbors, jukes a guy out, 5-yard pass play. And I'm just saying, like, maybe we need to look at this in a different way. Maybe Daniel Jones' limitations is limiting the offense, which is costing us. Now, I'm not saying Drew Lock is going to be the answer. And some people say that, I don't care, I don't want to see Lock. Listen, if Lock, you're a coach, and this is my problem that I've had with many Giant coaches going forward. If this guy comes out in the next game he plays, and it's clearly he's doing the same things, and it's limiting the offense to just field goals, you've got to have a really tough conversation with yourself and say, is this guy giving us the best chance to win? Because if he can't make the throws that you're designing in your offense, then you need to go get somebody else. It's like somebody at a job, right? If you're not doing the job that you're being asked to do, and it's not like they're asking you to do anything out of the ordinary, and you can't physically do that, it's time to move on, right? It doesn't mean that, yeah, you're wrong in your mistake for paying him, but you've got to be a coach, and you've got to say, I need to win. I'm going to try something different. Because if they lose next week, to me, all bets are off. It's time to start to think about change.
Dabo would not do that with Josh Allen. He probably wouldn't do it with Jaden Daniels either. But he shouldn't have did it with Daniel Jones either. He should have went on ahead and let Daniel Jones throw a little 3-yard touchdown fucking pass to Wandale Robinson or something. Because that's probably what the hell they would have drew up any fucking way. And it probably would have worked. But we'll never know, because you brought the goddamn field goal unit out.
Scared. This team gives me agita.
But about before we end this, we'll talk about the Cowboys a little bit more. Going about the issue with because let's face the reality. This is a game the Dallas Cowboys probably should have lost to the New York Giants.
A better team.
So let's talk about the Cowboys. What's going on with this Dallas Cowboys football team, man? I know they can't. They're having the issues with the run game. They can't get the run game going offensively. I get all of that, but defensively, this team came out week 1 like gangbusters, and now it's been pretty not so impressive since.
Well, you bring up an interesting thing, and I think we talked about this last week. I said the Giants fit what the Cowboys defense can beat right now. They beat up on the Cleveland Browns, who have a bad offensive line, can't run the football, and has a quarterback that's playing average. Fits right into the Cowboys, what the Cowboys can do defensively, right? Then they played a heavy run team in the Saints, and the Saints just, with Alvin Kamara, just lit them up. They had no answer for Alvin Kamara. And when you run the football well, it opens up the pass game. So I think they got railroaded that way. The second game against the Ravens, again, they had Lamar Jackson go off and Derrick Henry run rugshot. Now, I figured that the Cowboys would do what they did against the Giants run game, and that's what they did. They brought the house. They stopped the run in this game. Where they should have been beaten was if they had a better quarterback. that was playing against them, they would have given up some big plays, and we're talking about it. We might be talking about a different ball game in that regard. But because they played an offense that's inept in itself, plays right into the Cowboys' hands. With the like for example, I forget who the Cowboys play next week, right? But they're a team. Oh, they play Pittsburgh, right? So
Steelers.
just to just to give context to my point, that that game is a favorable matchup to the Cowboys because they don't really pass the ball that well, and they're predominantly a run team. And against a guy like Justin Fields is good, but he's not Lamar Jackson good, right? So I feel the Cowboys can take advantage of that team right there, right? What they can take advantage of is the team they're going to play the following week. I think after that with a quarterback, right? And the Cowboy, and this is why I'm so mad about the Giants right now. If we had a competent quarterback or a competent run game or competent anything on offense, we could be 3-1 and leading this division and actually having fun right now and saying, "Oh my God!" But we're
Yep.
not, and the Cowboys are probably not going to finish with more than 9 wins, 10 wins max. All right, their quarterback is playing sensational. You got to give him that. He's played sensational. All right, last game he was 21 of 24 or something like that for 220 something yards, 2 touchdowns, and he only had the ball for like 20 minutes or some shit, right? Something ridiculous, right? So you know, the Cowboys are going to have to win games like that where they lost a couple of their defensive players, which actually is kind of funny because I thought their defense played better with Parsons and Lawrence out for some reason. I just felt the Nealon kid was getting more. Call me ridiculous, but sometimes when you lose a star, other people play well, right? So I feel like if the Cowboys do what they can, build confidence, their offense is going to kick anybody's ass. Right? We'll see how they do against Pittsburgh in that defense, but they're often. I don't feel the Cowboys offensively did anything that was crazy. Their run game lacks, but for a lacking run game, it was effective. It was effective. I think they should start Dalvin Cook, and I'm surprised he hasn't been called up. He's an actual legit back. If they got a legit back in their offense to control the ball and ball control down the field, because if you look at how Dallas scores, right, they have to be quick hitting plays. CeeDee Lamb, 60-something yard touchdown, dink and dunk down the field, put it in the end zone, and then kind of if they had a run game to extend the game and give them drives on 3rd and 1 and things like that, they'll be a dangerous team because right now the Cowboys literally have to play like football of scoring gangbusters. If they score 14, 15 points and they get up 14-0, 10-0, that's what's going to play into the Cowboys' strength. If they're playing from behind, they're going to lose a lot of games. So they need to bring in Dalvin Cook, I feel, to kind of extend this and get the run game going because if their offense can convert more 3rd and shorts and stay on the field longer, it'll help their defense because their offense goes down to score points.
What's up, Wells? Appreciate you dropping in, bro.
Wells.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's good stuff right there. Obviously, we want to move away from this game. You have nothing else, I'm sure, you want to feel like saying about this football game right there. That
No, no,
it's
no,
frustrating once again for New
no.
York Giant fans. And the fact that, like you said, 3-1 could have been a very realistic thing right now, based off of what we've seen the last few weeks. And it's just you let these couple of games get away. You let that Washington game get away. You let this Dallas game get away. And you're now also, once again, not only are you in the bottom, what's going on? Unpopular opinion. But not again,
What's
not
going
only do
on?
you see yourself in the bottom of this division once again, right now, currently you've lost 2 division games already, so you're
Oof,
definitely behind the 8 ball just from that standpoint as well,
rough.
going 0-2 in the division thus far. So we'll get to it, man. It's time to move on, man. To who was next up on the docket, man? That'd be the Eagles, I suppose. The
I do believe
Philadelphia
so.
Eagles traveling
Woo,
down to Tampa
woo.
Bay, man,
Cheeks clapped.
on Sunday, and I tell you what, this one got away from them fast, very, very quickly. Baker
Yeah.
Mayfield was dealing in this one, man, and I had him sitting on my damn bench in fantasy. Pissed me off, but that's fantasy football for you, man.
Those are the breaks. Those are the
But
breaks.
this one got away, man. I mean, Jalen Hurts without his weapons, AJ Brown was a scratch once again for the third consecutive week, if I'm not mistaken. No Devontae Smith this week, so he's going in there pretty much. I don't know who the number one receiver technically would have been. I don't know, John Dotson, somebody, whoever at this point, and not anyone that he's used to, that he's really familiar with. A lot of working with him, and it showed in this one. I mean, the Eagles' offense was absolutely abysmal throughout the first half of this football game, and even starting into the second half. I mean, before they finally got it going a little bit, to put a couple of points on the board. But Adam, what you think about the Eagles this one, man?
Well, the Eagles went into a buzzsaw in Tampa Bay. A lot is going on in Tampa, as you people know. And a hurricane down there in that area, and a lot of people were affected by it. So not only did you have a team that lost to Denver, who's already angry, now you have a team that has to now come together and put a town on their back, right? Because they want to give that reprieve to the people around there that are dealing with this situation. So the Eagles saw an extra motivated Tampa Bay team, and they put a hurting on them. And Tampa Bay has been Jekyll and Hyde this season. 1 minute they look like a Super Bowl contender, right, against Detroit and against the first game they played against the Commanders, and then they look like what they did against the Broncos, and you're like, wait, maybe what are we doing here? And this week they opened it up, and he threw for, I think Baker Mayfield almost had like 400 yards passing, which is pretty insane to think about it, and just goes to show that that guy, he's a decent quarterback. What can I say? He has some decent weapons. And and this is what you should be doing when you have weapons. Like you said, Jalen Hurts didn't have his weapons. He came back down to earth a little bit. Maybe they needed a different game plan. Maybe they should have figured out to give the ball to Barkley more, do more screens. I think they got out of sorts. And once the game gets out of sorts, and Jalen Hurts turns the ball over, that doesn't help either. It gets out of hand, right? And Tampa Bay played a good game. What can you can't take anything away? They dominated. I mean, to give up only 16 points to a prolific offense like that, and the Eagles defense didn't. I don't think they touched Baker Mayfield. I don't think he got his jersey dirty. He probably got it dirty just because he might have celebrated or something or got knocked down. But I don't think they got a sack. And this Eagle team is also kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team right now. 1 minute they win against Green Bay, and you're like, damn, put up 31 points. Then they play Atlanta and lose on a heartbreaker, which probably is going to come back to bite them in the long run. And then they squeak out a game against the Saints, and then they have this clunker here. And clearly, their offense needs their stars, because when nobody believes in John Ross, and I think they had Paris Campbell and a few other names out there, nobody believes in that, which allows the defense to take advantage of you, because I don't need to put two high safeties on it. I don't need to open up that defense. And now the run game is taken away, because now I have 9 guys in the box, because I can play one-on-one on the outside, because nobody's worried about John Ross or fucking Paris Campbell, right? So they need to figure it out. They need to figure it out quickly. They still have a solid team, and I think they're gonna be in games like this. The NFC East is looking more and more like they're going to try to have to have grind out wins most of the time, because like the Eagles, if they don't get up in a game, their defense doesn't work, because their defense is built on you getting a lead. Same thing with the Cowboys, built on you getting a lead. The problem with the Giants defense, same thing, built when you get a lead. They are better when you get a lead. When you don't, and you don't stop people and you let them go up and down the field, eventually they get touchdowns. And that's what happens when your defense doesn't clamp down. And there's no defense being played in the NFC East right now, none whatsoever. It's going to cost these teams, and the Eagles have too much firepower that will eventually, at some point, be coming back. They've got to stay afloat. They're about 2-2 right now. So after the first 4 games, they are kind of, still at 500. So the panic button doesn't need to be hit yet, but they need to figure some stuff out. And again, I think styles make fights. And I think the Eagles are going to be able to compete with teams like Pittsburgh and things like that. That offense isn't as explosive as a team like Tampa Bay that has Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, their running backs and their offensive line, things that can go all up and down the field, right? So I think going forward, there are vulnerabilities, but we'll see what happens.
Well, look,
They don't. They
I'm
wouldn't
getting
do
ready.
that.
You know, I'm getting ready to get them. I'm getting ready to get them because you know what? I like getting them, and I get an opportunity to get these motherfuckers right now. Philadelphia Eagles, without the acquisition of Saquon Barkley, would be an 0-4 football team right now. I just said that shit. This football team would fucking around and be 0-4 right now without the acquisition of Saquon Barkley.
Pretty much.
Look at the two games that they did win. Look at the two games they did win. It was Saquon Barkley putting this team on his back when it counted. I mean, I think this one here exposed Jalen Hurts a little bit here. I think it exposed him a little bit. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I definitely would still rather have him than the guy we got coming right up the tunnel. But at the end of the day, I think this one exposed Jalen Hurts a bit. I think it showed that he's not that guy that can truly uplift this team on his own, like on the strength of him. Clearly, he is more clearly dependent upon his weapons being out there on the field. A lot of guys are, but I mean, you know, real special ones always still figure it out, whether they got their guys or not. And Jalen Hurts was not able to figure it out in this game at all in any way, shape, or form. He still had Dallas Goedert out there. He definitely still had Saquon Barkley out there. I mean, but those guys, I mean, the receivers you had, they're definitely not the caliber of a Devontae Smith and an A.J. Brown. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts to me in this one, man, I mean, it was god awful at times in this football game. Just god awful. I mean, the first half of this football, it was hard to watch. I didn't get to see much of it because I didn't get to see a whole lot of it, because I was a little busy. But at the end of the day, it was bad. It wasn't good. It just wasn't a good look. And I think this was an opportunity Jalen Hurts had to really show that he was one of the upper echelon guys, like the top level guys. I mean, he's getting paid like one of them top level guys. I think this was a game where he really showed that he's not that guy. I mean, the team needed a lot more from him with the injuries, the guys being down. You really wanted to see a lot more from a Jalen Hurts in this game, and honestly, he just didn't get it. Saquon Barkley had that one big run that once again, gave the Eagles a little bit of life, but just not enough in this one at all. And like I said, without the acquisition of Saquon Barkley, this Philadelphia Eagle team with all this talent I'm straight up giving. I was giving them all kinds of props, thinking this team was so loaded and everything they are. I mean, on paper, it's a loaded football team, but without Saquon Barkley, this team would be 0-4 right now. Absolutely. And maybe their fans don't want to actually admit that, but it's fucking facts, and they know it.
Oh,
Them 3 touchdowns he scored against Green Bay and Brazil, come on, man. Without that effort, they wasn't winning that football game week 1. And the same thing down in New Orleans. Without the effort of Saquon Barkley in that game, they wasn't winning that game in New Orleans. I mean, that shit's real. So this Philadelphia Eagle team, they better figure something out. Because right now, there's a disconnect somewhere with this football team. Something's not right. Something's not clicking. Because it's just not. And with a team with a roster like this is, like I said, Super Bowl type of roster. This is a Super Bowl bust type roster. And I just expect more. And as a football fan in general, I don't like, obviously I hate the goddamn Eagles. But as a football fan in general, when I see this football team, this roster, the way it's built, I expect more than what I've seen through the first month of the season from this football team.
It is a down year in the NFC. You're all right. Well, the one thing I will say that I want to add on to that you're saying is the game that they have coming up
that
next.
Unpopular opinion.
The game that they have coming up next is a game that favors the way the Eagles play. A team that doesn't throw explosives. While their defense is good, they can still do some things. They have, their offensive line is bad. So this game, the next one that they play, is again exactly what the Eagles are going to try to do: pounce on a team that doesn't have the explosives to do it. So if they do happen to win the game that they play, and we'll get into our picks in a minute, I'm just saying I think that's what you're going to see. The styles are going to make fights. Teams with offenses are going to be struggles, especially with this NFC East. It looks like we ain't got no defense on any team.
I mean, yeah, the defense in the NFC East has been abysmal for the most
part.
That's
what it's supposed to stand for, is NFC East.
I mean, you had I mean, the Cowboys were great against Cleveland. The Giants were great against Cleveland. I
Exactly.
mean,
That's what I'm
but other than
saying.
that,
The Eagles will be great against Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
it's been rough otherwise. It's been pretty rough otherwise, man. Over there, the NFC's defense, man. But,
It's
I
just,
don't have
it's
anything
just,
else from this one here, man. Eagles got absolutely trashed in this game, man, and I think they need to do some serious soul searching. But
well, they
if you want to
might
take
be
it away,
able
we
to
can
rebound.
get to what is
Marquee.
proven to be the best team in the NFC East thus far, which is a surprise to probably many because we thought this team was going to be battling with the Giants for third and fourth place and juggling it back and forth for that. But this team said they in it to win it, man. And I think this team might be one more playmaker away from making it happen. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, what you call is dangled out there right now. Maybe they might want to be a team to go in there and snatch him up, man, to put him opposite of Terry McLaurin and way this offense could take off even more, I think. But this Washington Commanders team, Jaden Daniels, man, looking like clear-cut rookie of the year thus far up to this point in the season. I mean, he's been just playing like a seasoned vet out there just dealing. I believe he has the highest completion percentage in the league, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, this kid doesn't miss on a lot of passes. Very smart with the football, making just great plays, heads up. I mean, he does not look like a rookie by any stretch of the imagination. He is razor sharp. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from Jaden Daniels and what he's got how he's got this Washington Commanders team right now cooking, man. 3-1 at the top of the NFC East division right now. What you think about Washington, man, Adam?
What a surprise, right? And we had this conversation. I think I don't know if I just said it now, but in August when we're making our picks, or in July when we're making our picks about the season, we're looking at the schedule, yada yada yada. We had no idea that Washington would be here. Hell, 2 weeks ago when they played each other, we said they would be battling for third and fourth place. And 3 weeks later, here we are, and they are at the top of the division. And how do they do it? I'll tell you how they did it. They got a sensational quarterback that is playing above the X's and O's. They have a competent defense. Defense is not great by any stretch. Don't get it twisted, but they're competent. They play hard. They do things, and they're taking shots. You're seeing what shots do on an offense. You know, shot. Giants need to play that song in the locker room, because if you watch what Washington did, that's what they did. That play to Terry McLaurin, or the first bomb that he had, woo, beautiful thing of beauty. And then the second one to kind of cement the game in the back court of the end zone when they needed a big drive, and he's getting blitzed and hit. Though that's the difference in the ball game, right? That opens up everything. The run game. Then Brian Robinson has a fantastic game. Like, basically, you got to give hats off to Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury for orchestrating a team that believes in themselves and that they are not making it difficult for Jaden Daniels. And you also have to give Jaden Daniels some credit for kind of playing the way he is, right? They going into the game, they say doesn't take deep shots. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. And then it exploded against the Bengals. Boom! And we're like, oh, that's one night. It's Monday night. Blah blah blah. Well, guess what? He did 2 nights in a row, back to back, right? Back to back weeks. And you got to give it to them. They did it. He played an outstanding game. He had an interception. You know, these things are going to happen, but his completion percentage is through the roof. The offense is running through him. Terry McLaurin is so happy he has a quarterback now. Have you seen that guy's face the other day when they were interviewing him on Monday Night Football? He was like, "Oh my God, I have a quarterback!" Right? So we're getting to see what he does there. Zach Ertz had a renaissance or a rebirth in terms of his career. He's making things. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson are very good running backs. You know, and really that's what they're going to lean on going forward, is a solid run game with a quarterback that's a dual threat that is very efficient. And defensively, they're not rock stars. They're playing hard. That is essentially what they're doing. They're just playing hard. They're not playing great. They're just out there. They're making the tackles when they need to make them. You know, they're doing the best they can. They still give up a lot of big plays and chunk yardage. Wagner's still a step slow, but he's still a cerebral assassin out there getting guys. Lufu, or whatever that guy's name is, Tufu. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but number 4, he is balling out. And the young cornerbacks are developing, and Dan Quinn has got these guys again competent. So it's kind of interesting to see. And by the way, If you look at their schedule coming up, this team, Washington, could end up being like 6-2 after 8. I don't think I would say that, but if you look at their schedule and the way they're playing right now, they have some teams where they match up kind of well, where they can steal a game here or two, right? They have the Ravens coming up. They play a team. I forget who they play. We're going to talk about who they play this week. I think it's a matchup. I think it's the Panthers or something like that. It might be the Panthers. Some team they play this week where they have a chance to, and Matt can pull it up. I think he can pull it up. Let's just pull it up. What are we doing? Why are we trying to play, grab ass here?
They play the Browns this week. They play Cleveland this week,
Okay.
so their defense should have a
So
good
there you
game.
go. So there you go. You play Cleveland. You're playing the Cleveland Browns, right? A softball game that everybody's played. Okay, the Cleveland Browns have a ton of problems and everything. So if they win this game, now they're 4-1. Okay, and then after that, I think they play the Ravens, and then I think after that they play the Panthers, and then they play another team that's pretty favorable. They could easily be 5-3, 6-2. Hell, even 7-1. I doubt they're going to beat the Ravens, but stranger things have happened with teams that are having Cinderella stories. And again, you got to give credit where credit's due. Dan Quinn, again, having the boys, they're believing. I didn't think the Giant game would be the catalyst to them playing this well. It was like they beat the Giants and then they just woke up. And it was like, here we go. We're here. And Jaden Daniels, give him credit. He's not putting the ball in harm's way. He's not making bad decisions. He's playing within the offense, and he's growing right before your eyes. You know what I mean? I think they got something in this kid. I don't want to overjump boundaries. I don't want to underjump boundaries. But you know what C.J. Stroud did to Houston is what Jaden Daniels is doing for him, right? So, and there's something that Jaden Daniels. Go ahead.
That shit's infectious, though. It goes through the whole team. It runs through the whole team. That's what everybody believes. You see it. You see this kid out there doing the things he's doing, and it gives you that belief. It gives the whole team. It energizes the whole team. It steps everybody. It makes everybody step up. That shit is real, man. It's a very real thing. You got a guy that they can stand behind. You know what I mean? They got a guy they believe is going to get them that W, that can go out there every week and get a win no matter who they playing against. When you got a guy like that running the show, man, running your offense, it's a ripple effect through the entire team, man. That's what they have now, what they found in Jaden Daniels, man. This Washington Commanders team, I thought they were going to be a solid football team that was going to go through a lot of growing pains early and then turn on later on in the season and be one of those kind of dangerous teams down the stretch. But this team then turned it on already within the first month of the season, and they're turning it up, and they're going to just continue to get better behind the young Jaden Daniels. I just believe in what you're seeing. My eyes don't lie to me. Jaden Daniels is absolutely the real deal. He is absolutely the real deal. It's just plain and simple, man. You watching what this guy does, it's amazing, man. He right now. He's I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna go crazy, man. I don't want to annoy him a little too much too soon, but at the end of the day, what I'm witnessing is greatness, man. I don't see a kid that's getting ready to fall off anytime soon. I think it's only going to continue to get better and better. But
that sucks for us.
I was curious what you think about the potential if they could be in the mix potentially to maybe get Devontae Adams in a trade. I feel like if they were there, I think that would be something that could potentially put this team over the top, especially in this NFC East division.
Well, first off, if they are in trade talks and you have your guy, this is options that you should do. And this is why, to me, if they're really in the market, pull the trigger. And here's why. I mean, he may go to the Jets or something like that, but if the Commanders are really in the market, if you believe in Jaden Daniels, you go get Devontae Adams. You don't care about Terry McLaurin and all that. You go get Devontae Adams. Because what that will do is it will signify to the team that, hey, we got our guy, we're investing now, and we're just going to see where this season takes us, right? And then next year, when they have more cap space, right? And we can talk about draft capital all we want. Yeah, it's great. Draft capital is great, but this team can go out and spend the big bucks and bring in better free agents. Go in and spend the big bucks and do that. Go get a Devontae Adams. He's disgruntled anyways. He wants technically out of Vegas. So you may not have to give up an arm and a leg. You may not have to give up 2 firsts. You may only have to give up maybe a first, maybe a second round pick, something like that. maybe a trade when you give them a player if they want. I don't know. Maybe give them Zach Ertz or something like that. Throw in a deal. I mean, but to me, if you're in the trade talks, go do it. Why not? Why not? I mean, we sit here, you have a rookie deal, right? For 5 years, you have control of Jaden Daniels. Now you make those moves. And now you go out and get your guy a guy, especially if you know he's the guy. You see what he's doing with Terry McLaurin. Imagine if they had Scary Terry on one side and Devontae Adams on the other, and then they get a legit tight end in here, and they build. By the way, can we give credit to that offensive line? Because all I heard all offseason was how bad Bobby Johnson was, right? And what he was doing, right? And now they're protecting this kid. He's making the throws. They're running downhill. I think they should go out and try to get Devontae Adams while they can to mask their defense. It's going to help you. You score points. They scored 42 points. 42 points. Okay? I don't even know if the Giants have ever scored 42 points in a game.
On the road.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? On the road. And I think the Bengals game kind of gave them – the Giant game was, okay, that's an opponent, common opponent, whatever. The Bengal game kind of gave them the catalyst to the confidence that they have right now, right? And I just believe that Jaden Daniels getting Devontae Adams, do it. I think Devontae Adams is technically still in their contract, so you don't even have to probably extend him. You could just look, bro, you got 2 years on your deal. We're going to bring you in. We got a young quarterback here. We're going to try to make a run at it. And the next year when we actually get our cap space is deep and we have more pockets to bring in free agents, we're going to build the defense that way. And away you go, right? So if you have a chance to do it, I would do it. Why not? What do you have to lose? You're already playing with house money because you're right now in this quarter of the season, you're stealing the division. And if things go and like you're saying, Mac, Jaden Daniels is going to get better. They have some winnable games on this docket that if they cash in on those wins, we could be talking about them being 5-3, 6-2 at the midpoint of the year, really contending. Why wouldn't you want Devontae Adams to put you over the top to solidify that playoff spot? I don't know, man. Sometimes take a risk. Why not?
I mean, I think that's a risk that they might want to seriously consider, man. Because I just think this, especially right now, you got this division reeling right now. You're taking the division by storm.
Exactly.
Look, it's. I think if you got an opportunity to pull that trigger, I would myself personally, I would do it. I think that can only help. I mean, now you're sitting there in this division with like you said, Scary Terry on one side, Devontae Adams on the other. Pick your poison, man. They're going to wreck games. They are going to wreck games.
But if you're putting
running the football the way you
go ahead.
I'm saying running the football the way they're running the football. I mean, 37 carries for 216 yards collectively on the ground on Sunday. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. See that 37 carries for 216 yards, not 24 carries for 26 yards. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. This is how you help. This is how you help that young quarterback.
Well,
you know what I mean? By having that consistent, strong running game, and that's what the Washington Commanders have been doing.
But imagine this, okay, Mac? You just said Scary Terry, right? And all the accolades they got last week against the team they played, a pretty good team too. It's not like they beat they beat up on some slouch. That team that they were playing I think it was a decent team. Let me just make sure. I think they were
playing against the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah, and the Cardinals are not a bad team. They were pretty good. They had a pretty good defense, but they went out and they shellacked that team. 42 points. My point is that they put up 42 points without Devontae Adams. You give them Devontae Adams, are they going to put up 50? Like, the Devontae Adams who does that. Because think about this, folks. You already run the football. So now you have to stop the run. Then you're going to have that. In doing so, you're going to have to bring 9 guys in the box, maybe 10. Right? So now you're going to be leaving guys on the outside one-on-one to try to stop and then you have Devontae Adams. Oh, it would be magical. I mean, and then your defense that is much maligned is not very good to begin with. It has solid players. It's not the worst defense I've ever seen. But if you get leads, now you pay advantage to the defense because they can play loose and free. They're going to try to make more chances for turnovers. They're going to blitz more. There's going to be chances for interceptions because teams are going to now have to catch up with you, right? Think about like teams that you've seen throughout your history when they score. Like if you watch Peyton Manning and the Colts team, their defense was atrocious stopping the run. They never had to stop the run because their team was always up 21 points. So the other team was like, oh, I got to come back. So it fits right into what they're doing, right? So if I'm that team, go get Devontae Adams, changes the whole complexion of your offense and even your defense.
Yeah, absolutely agree, man. But yeah, this Washington Commanders team definitely been one of the biggest surprises throughout the NFL through the first month of the season, man. But let's get to a little bit of Week 5. Let's get to Week 5, man. Start Eagles gonna be on a much needed bye week as the byes begin this week. So you fantasy football players, don't forget byes start this week, and you got 4 teams on the bye: the Philadelphia Eagles, the Chargers, I believe, Titans, and I can't remember who else, but one other squad's on the bye this week as well. And so make sure you remember that when you're setting them, getting them lineups set. Got some guys that gonna have some guys out this week.
Fantasy tip of the week.
This is where you separate the men from the boys. But let's get to Week 5 action, man. Kicking off Week 5 is so who we got up first, man? Who we got up first? The Cowboys. No, Cowboys. It was a Sunday night. So we got the Giants and the Seahawks, man. The
But
Giants and
the
yeah. Well, no, you know what? We were
Commanders
Giants and
playing.
Seahawks. Go Giants, Seahawks. Oh, the Commanders and the Browns. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm tripping. Yeah, Commanders and Browns. Based off of what we've seen throughout these first few weeks of the season, man, the Commanders are now coming into this game as favorites in a game in which I'm assuming before this season they were probably at least a touchdown underdog, I would think. But now they're coming
Yep.
in this one as favorite, 3-point favorites, because as we know, Cleveland Browns looking like they're just not a very good football team, not as good as they were expected to be. By no means, Deshaun Watson is just not the guy that he was in Houston. And we were just talking about Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, this team, man. How you see this one playing out, Adam?
Well, I want to get back real quick. Something that somebody said about, oh, the Browns, it was a good win for the Giants, right? Well, now, reality, it's not, right? We talked about that at the beginning of the year. Like you said, when we did the schedules in July, we thought this was a loss. I think they're going to go
Yeah,
out and kick the crap out of the Browns on Sunday. I really do. I think they're riding a high. I think you're catching the Browns in turmoil right now because their offensive line is terrible. The quarterback is playing absolutely like dog shit. Their defense is I wouldn't say imploding, but they can only do so much, right? And Miles Garrett's hurting. Zadarius Smith is a shell of himself, and this Browns team is just not coached well. And you're hitting a buzzsaw right now. And I think is it in Washington? I do believe it's in
it is in
where are
Washington. Yep, it is
so
in
okay.
Washington.
So I think the last game they played was the Giants at home, right? They went on the road to Tampa Bay. They played the Giants, and they were on the road for Cincinnati, and they were on the road for this game here. Now you're coming back in this environment with this team, this fan base who hasn't been energized for over a decade, right? The last time they had this much energy was with RG3 and that 2020 rookie year that he had. And let's hope that the same thing doesn't happen to Jaden Daniels that happened to RG3. But my point is that they're going to want to be here for this because everyone's going to want to talk about it. Where were you when Jaden Daniels? I was there. They're going to have that building's going to be packed. The Browns, they're in turmoil. I think they're going to fire their coach at the end of the year, and it's unfortunate because Kevin Stefanski, they made a bad decision with Deshaun Watson, like you said. That guy is not the guy they signed up for. They signed on for the 4,800-yard, 33 touchdown guy, and they got a guy who's been a shell of himself. And I don't know if it's offense, if it's Stefanski saying, I want you to play a certain way, which is holding back Deshaun Watson, or if it's just Deshaun Watson playing being bad. I've read some conflicting reports there that Deshaun is not necessarily enamored with the offense. He doesn't think it fits his skills. So I don't know what's going on there. I can tell you right now, my eyes tell you, they're ass. They smell like yesterday's underwear. So I think they're going to get their ass beat. I think the run game is going to show up and show out. And we're going to be talking about the Commanders leading the division at 4-1 on the year. My goodness.
I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you, man. I just, based off of what everything I've seen thus far, I can't imagine this Cleveland team is going to go out there and pose a big threat to this Commanders team the way the Commanders are playing right now. I mean, like you said, Miles Garrett, he even though his engine is still running, man, he's out there giving it everything he got, but he's just not 100%. He's clearly not
They're not the
100%.
same. You can tell.
And 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 this Cleveland in the Cleveland defense is just not. It's not that scary unit that we everybody thought it was going to be. I mean, they're getting gashed week in and week out. I mean, no matter who they're playing against at this point, it just doesn't seem to matter. So I just Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders. Like I said, we've been talking about it for the last however many minutes now. I just think this team, like I said, they're going to go out there and put on a show for their fans at home, and I think they get a big win here again. I mean, they may not. I'm not going to say they're going to throw up another 40 this week, but I
Yeah,
can see them
50.
putting on a bit of a show, man. I can definitely see them showing off a little bit for the hometown fans, man. This
And
Washington
why not?
team, like I said, been one of the biggest surprises throughout the first month of the season. It's really good to see. As just a football fan, when you take your fan hat off for a minute and just look at it as just a football fan, this Washington team, man, it's something. It's really cool, man. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing, especially from the young man Jaden Daniels putting in work, man. Putting in absolute work. And
I can't
someone
wait
said
till
it
we get
earlier up in
our.
the comments. I think it was NYG said it earlier. You know exactly why Brian Dable, without hesitation, when they asked that question on Hard Knocks, would you trade up getting up Jaden Daniels? He said it without thinking that he would have. And
Well,
and now and now we're seeing why. And now we're seeing absolutely why. So
so
yeah, I
wait,
think
wait, wait, wait.
Washington
Hold on
gets
a
this
minute.
one, man.
People are starting to come to my island now, man. I think it's listen. We don't need you here anymore, man. We only accept tourists these days. That's all I'm saying. Oh man,
But yeah, I like Washington here too as well. So let's Greg move on to the four o'clock
blowout.
window. The New York Giants headed out to
Ugh, ugh,
Pacific Northwest, taking on the Seattle Seahawks,
ugh.
another team that embarrassed the New York Giants in prime time a season ago. Uh, how do you see this one playing out, Adam? 4 o'clock window on Sunday. I'm going to miss this entire game, by
Um,
the way. I'm not going to see a minute of it.
well, Mac, you might not need
But
to worry about that because I want to pick the Giants so badly, but they could only score 15 points a game, and the Seattle Seahawks are scoring 23 points a game. And it's funny because if you read like the Seattle news and stuff like that, they're like, oh, they only beat this team, they only beat that team, they only beat this team. And I'm like, yeah, but they beat the teams they needed to beat to get to where they are, right? And then they lost to a team arguably going to be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, right? It's not like they lost to the Cleveland Browns and you're like, oh my God, what are they doing? They lost to a good team who, by the way, were undermanned on defense, right? They had 5 starters not play, and their offense still was cooking, right? They scored 27 points. And for me, I'm just worried. And Kenneth Walker went off, and their run game was pretty solid. I'm just worried that the Giants, even though the Seahawks are banged up, and even though the Seahawks are going to be undermanned, they play the style of ball that kicks the Giants' ass, and that's running downhill. They're going to do short passes when they need to, and they're going to make the game short and just score touchdowns. And I just think it's going to be a tall order to go into that building and win that game, right? Our history says the Giants don't play well in that building. It just is that they went there in 2021, looked like dog crap, or 2022 looked like dog crap. They played them in 2023. They looked like dog crap in their own building. That was more because the offense was shitty and their quarterback was shitty. I don't think they're worried about Daniel Jones. Again, styles make fights, right? They're not dealing with Jared Goff. Look who they've beaten. They've beaten the Tennessee Titans. They beat the Denver Broncos, and they beat, I think, somebody else. I think it might have been Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, right? They're not playing; those aren't the murderers row of quarterbacks that they're playing, and they beat all those. Oh no, excuse me, it was the Patriots. They beat all those teams, and the Giants are lumped in with the Denver Broncos and the Patriots. They're kind of like not this great team, and Seattle is fighting for more. And I'm going to pick the Giants to win, just because I guess I'm a Giant fan. I want to see them win, but I don't think it's going to be close. I think it might be a massacre.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah, it might have been the pandemic season. They went out there. Colt McCoy went out there and beat the Seattle Seahawks. I think it
That
was the
was the
pandemic
pandemic
year, if I'm
season.
not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a good, solid
But
game that they played.
but yeah, here with this game in Seattle, man. Way back in May, when the schedule was first released and we were picking, predicting, how things were going to break down with these football team with this team. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is where I picked the New York Giants to win their first game of the season. If I'm not mistaken, I had the New York Giants starting the season off 0-4, and then I had them going out there to Seattle and just doing one of those weird things the New York Giants do, and that's kind of put one on a team that you just don't expect. You don't expect to see them do it. You don't expect them. You know what I mean? No one's expecting it, and the Giants just have a way of doing that every year with somebody. They just have and I had picked that to be this Seattle team, and I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna go with it for a couple of different reasons. I just think the New York Giants. I think they've been kind of I don't know, but it will depend on Malik Neighbors' status too, because right now he's still in protocol. So if he's not out there,
He didn't.
I
He
don't,
didn't.
I can't get
He
his
didn't
team.
practice. He
I
didn't
can't.
practice.
Yeah, he's. Dable said he was still in protocol. I'll listen to him today. Talk. He said he was
Right, but
still in
what I'm saying
protocol.
is
That's
like
why
he
he
didn't
couldn't
even. He
practice.
wasn't out. What I'm saying like he wasn't outside with the trainers. He would DNP, which is if he's DNP tomorrow, he ain't playing, and that'll drastically, like you said, might change it because they have no offense without that guy. I'm sorry, Wandale Robinson, I like you, but
Yeah,
you got no
absolutely.
offense without that guy.
But so I just think Seattle. I just think that I'm just gonna go with that maybe Malik will be all right and he'll play. I'm gonna just go with that for right now because that's what we're obviously hoping for as Giant fans. But uh, I think Giants they just find a way to get it done on Sunday. I think mostly partially because I won't be able to watch the game, so I think that they'll that's it'd be typical. They'll put together this nice masterpiece of a game because I'm not going to be able to enjoy watching it. So it's almost like
Yeah, I
my own
better
kind
hope
of
so.
punishment. They make me suffer through all the bad shit, every other week, and
It'll
then
either
when I'm not not available to watch the game, and then they'll probably throw together a master class or something.
well
Daniel
think about
Jones will be
this.
out there dealing or some shit. You know what I mean? It just seems like that's the kind of things the New York Giants do to me. But what
You'll
you got,
either get
Adam?
text messages of like, man, what a crazy game this was, or well, season's over, see you later, right? And at that point you can take it how you want. Maybe it'll be like, oh, good thing I didn't watch that, or dang it, I missed a good one. So at 7:30 on Sunday night you'll have your answer.
So yeah, I'll be on the airplane, so I'll be definitely stuck. Not having, I won't even have an idea
Where you going to
what's going on
Detroit?
until I get off when I step off that damn plane. Yeah, I'm going to Detroit, brother. Be
Oh yeah.
out in the Motor City this weekend. But yeah, so I think the Giants. I'm gonna just go with the Giants here. Just I know it doesn't even make any sense really, probably from most people's standpoint. But I'm gonna go with the Giants. I think the Giants get the job done Sunday
6.5 point
out in
underdog. Here we
Seattle.
come.
I don't know. I just think they're gonna somehow figure out a
I
way to put it together, man, and get a W.
The last thing I will say is if the Giants lose this game, good night the lights on the season. It's over. Like at that point, 4 losses with a bunch of games coming up against tough opponents, you can basically good night the lights on the season. And at that point, you might want to start thinking about possibly putting in, even if Daniel has a good year, putting in a different quarterback just to see what you got. If Daniel plays the way he played, they're not going to win games regardless of who they play because they need to produce explosive plays. That's one thing that Seattle does well, and that's what I'm a little worried about. Like you said, we're both on board with picking the Giants. I don't know. We're either both crazy or we're going to look like geniuses in a few days.
Yeah. So we got one more left, man. We got this one kind of quick today, but Cowboys Steelers Sunday night football, man. Down up in Pittsburgh, man. This Dallas Cowboys team. It's got all kinds of issues. Got a lot of injuries to dealing with as well, man. I don't know how that's going to affect this team on Sunday night. Uh, going taking on the Steelers, man. Coming off of a rough weekend on Sunday, man. How you see this one playing out, brother?
I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say the Cowboys win. I mean, the Steelers you know, aren't world beaters by no means, but this is the kind of games the Cowboys win. 10 days off after they won, after they got the monkey off their back for now, with all the talk about this, that, and the other thing. Are they this team? Are they not this team? And I think they needed this mini bye to kind of reset themselves. Like I said, the Giants are playing certain teams at certain times that are going to be like, oh, we just got our butts kicked by the Lions. Thank here come the Giants. We just got our butt kicked by the Ravens. Here come the Giants. And now teams that play the Giants tend to ascend. And I think the Cowboys thankfully had that week off. They're good. I don't know what their deal is. I know they lost Lawrence for a couple of weeks. I don't know what Parsons' deal is. He might be out, but like I said, maybe that.
I think Mike is dealing with a high ankle sprain. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
So he'll be probably out a couple of weeks. So I think it might. I think they have enough firepower on offense to win the game. If they start Dalvin Cook and can get a bit of a run game and milk the clock, they can win this game. That's because again, Justin Fields, you got to put the game in his hands. If mind you, they're thinking they're flirting with benching him right now. Right, there's a thought process that they might want to bring in Russell. If I'm the Cowboys, I need to jump on that. And I think this is the type of game the Cowboys win. So we'll see. I'm surprised that Carl Lawson's on their team right now. I saw him make some plays. I wouldn't be surprised if their defense kind of gets better with these young guys who just have nothing. They just will follow the assignment. Because when I saw them come in at the end of the game last week when they played the Giants, I thought the defense was a little bit stouter. And I don't know if it's because those guys are bigger and fresher because DeMarcus Lawrence is dealing with a lot of injuries and these guys are kind of healthy. So we'll see. And we'll see what Mike Zimmer can do. Again, with 10 days rest, you got some rest now. You got a win under your belt. You're feeling good about yourself. It's another team that is a team that you can take advantage of. Let's see if they can go out there and do it.
I don't know. I mean, looking at this Pittsburgh team, I mean, they're coming off of like I said, very tough afternoon on Sunday, man, against the Colts. I believe they lost to, but this football team, to me, I still think there's this defense is still very much legit, man. I think they have the ability to get some pressure on Dak without blitzing. And I think that's gonna be a factor, man. If the Cowboys aren't able to get some kind of a run game going, man, I think it could be a long afternoon for them. I think Justin Fields. This is the game. Justin Fields is like. I think you're gonna get. I think you're gonna get a better version of Justin Fields in this one against this Cowboy defense. I think he's gonna be able to just run ragged on this defense if they give him opportunities, man. And he will take those opportunities to take off. And I could see this being one of those like 80, 90-yard rushing performances for Justin Fields in this game against this defense, to be quite frank. And I just think I'm just not believing in what I'm seeing from the Dallas Cowboys right now. It's to me, I'm just not buying into it. This Cowboy team, this Eagle football team, these two teams that are supposed to be dominating this division right now, I'm just not seeing it, man. I'm not feeling it. And I think the Steelers get them in prime time Sunday night. I think Justin Fields just runs his team ragged. I think Najee Harris has a big day. I think they're going to just pound this Dallas Cowboy defense and take advantage of those superstars on that side of the football that's not going to be out there for the Cowboys. So yeah, I think this is going to be a long night for the Cowboys. I think the Steelers take this one. But
Well, I mean, that's why they play the games. So we will see on Sunday
it is
what the outcome will be. And
we'll
I
get home
think
in time for
the
that.
reason why I'm picking. Oh, well, that's good. And hopefully you'll have some chicken wings and something good in your belly by then. But I think my reasoning for this is, and I agree with a lot of the points you make, that we shouldn't be praising this team, the NFC East, as it was so eloquently put, is the NFC least right now. And all I'm saying is when you look at a matchup, the Cowboys defense is not going up against the Pittsburgh defense. They're going up against the Pittsburgh offense, and I just feel that a quarterback like Justin Fields, if he plays above the X's and O's a little bit and he gets in that Lamar Jackson bag, that it may give them trouble. But I think they're going to try to do what they did against the Giants last week: bring the house, try to mitigate it and make it a passing game, which fits more into what their defense's strength is, right? So the Cowboys have had 10 days to figure this Pittsburgh team out, and if you can't figure out how to, you don't need to stop the run, you need to stop the gash plays, right? You need to be able to stop the gash plays because if they're only kicking field goals like the Giants did, that's a win for the Cowboy defense, right? So, the Pittsburgh team is not an explosive team, similar to the Giants. They do make the explosive plays here and there, a couple a game, not as much, but they're a team you can corral a little bit. That's my sentiment. Now, you could be right, and the doors could be blown off at halftime because Najee Harris is, running down their throats and they have no way to stop. But Dak Prescott and that offense, if they can score, and that's got to be their money. That's got to be their medicine. We got to outscore everybody to let our defense be able to be one-dimensional. Because if you can eliminate the run game, because the Cowboys are up 14-0, 17-3 or something like that, that plays into your hands. Turnovers, which, by the way, we need to make. These teams don't create a lot of turnovers. Both these teams, a lot of the teams in the NFC, that's what's happening a lot, is they don't create turnovers, which is not allowing your offense to get back on the field. Cowboys need to do it. And if they get some turnovers in this game because Justin Fields, is not the greatest passer, it might also help them. Of course, Mac is watching the Met game.
Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna knock them Brewers out the box tonight, man. Knock them out.
There you go.
But let's switch before we close out the show, man. This was a quick one tonight. This is probably one of our shorter shows actually. But before we close
One game
things
less.
out, man, I actually kind of wanted to touch on this in the beginning, opening in the show, but we kind of got right into business. But once again, this is not even football related. We lost some more legends this week once again. Dikembe Mutombo, rest in peace to one of the all-time great defenders in NBA history, man. So many memories. Dikembe Mutombo,
I
in
am
his
the
early career
Mutombo.
years and early years in Denver when he was Denver Nuggets. I still remember that iconic image. Him when they were the eighth seed and they knocked off the Seattle Supersonics in the first round, and him just laying on it in tears of joy, holding the ball up at half court, man. And then just watching him, all the years of service in the NBA, man. Like I said, one of the all-time great defenders, rim defenders in NBA history, man. Not in my house. You always remember that with the
I am
Kembe
the
Mutombo, that finger
Mutombo.
wave, man. But rest in peace to Dikembe. He lost his battle to brain cancer, unfortunately, on I
Wow.
believe that was Monday. And
Crazy
just one
to
of the
think.
greats. And then obviously also on the same day, man, another all time great, man, and Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle, man, lost his life on Monday. And just everything you can say, people can say whatever how you feel any way you want about Pete Rose. He was an all time great. I mean, hit king. He's. Yeah, he made a mistake later on in his coaching years and when he was a manager, gambling, betting on his team and whatnot. And I still believe they need to open up that wing in the Hall of Fame for Pete Rose because he's an all-time great at the game. I mean, that's what the Hall
There's
of Fame
guys
is
that
all
are
about. It's
worse.
about greatness on the field. You know what I mean? And Pete Rose is great on the field. So just rest in peace to him. And rest in peace to another guy, another one of my guys that for some reason his death just got released yesterday, but he actually passed away over a month ago. John Amos, great actor, man. James Evans, good times, man. Apparently he passed away back August 21st, but and the story just it all just came out to the media just yesterday. So just rest in peace to these three amazing men that meant a lot to me growing up. I mean, as a kid growing up, these are guys I looked up to. So rest in peace to
Wow.
all those guys, man. I don't know if
They
you want to
say
say anything,
they say
Adam.
they say that they all go in threes, right? Those are three iconic names there. I don't know the actor. I do know the actor from Coming to America. I didn't know Good Times like that, so I know him from other films. Die Hard as well. He was also in that. So I know him as an actor, and he was a solid actor for many years. So it's sad to see him go. I think he also was in Coming to America too, just recently. So it's kind of interesting that happened. Pete Rose, baseball, get over yourselves, man. You've got murderers and muggers and all this shit that you've got going on. You had cocaine. I mean, Dwight Gooden did cocaine. Like, get over it. These guys make mistakes. It's not like he murdered somebody. It's not like he's out there abusing people. He gambled, unfortunately, on his own team, but when he had a problem. Instead, you should try to help him and be an ambassador to the game and bridge the gap between this problem that people have with gambling. You know what I mean? Instead of making him a martyr and saying, "Oh, shun you for gambling," which, by the way, he hasn't been in baseball in years. Why don't you just get over it and say, you know what, we're going to put you in the hall, and I guarantee he'll be in the Hall of Fame now, quicker now than he will be when he was alive, because they probably didn't want to give him that honor to have alive. But I'm sure there should be some backlash and some pushback to having him in the Hall of Fame. He's not here anymore. He can't hurt anybody anymore. All right. And he deserves to be in there because, like you said, he's an all time great. And you need to do this as a league to represent your greatness. Like, look, you didn't do steroids. You didn't, do cocaine. You weren't in the news for abusing your spouse. You gambled a couple times on your team. Go big friggin' deal. Big deal. And you know what? Those teams were so bad that he was on anyways, that he was betting against. He probably didn't win that much money. So, you know, so baseball, get out of your fucking heads. Put him in the Hall of Fame. As for Dikembe Mutombo, Dikembe, you'll be missed. You're one of the centers I grew up on. Those Chicago Bulls coming up, they had to go through that Atlanta Hawks team with Dikembe Mutombo. I didn't know him on Denver, but I sure as heck knew him on the Atlanta Hawks. He made that Atlanta Hawk team relevant, and they were in the Eastern Conference. They weren't in the Eastern Conference, but they were in the Eastern playoffs. I don't know if they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I do remember them playing some epic games. Him doing his thing. I remember Jordan blocking him and giving him the finger wag. That's when the NBA was good. I remember when he went to, I think he also went to the 76ers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
he was
they went to the
Sixers for a
final.
little bit.
He went to the finals there and really gave Shaq all he could handle in that finals game. I do believe if they kept him in more, it would have been better for the Sixers, but obviously they didn't have that. He out rebounded him, but Mutombo was a beast and a legend. A guy, by the way, they didn't know his own age. Funny story is he came from a village with no birth certificate, so he's like roughly 58 years old, right? So it's sad to see him go. True ambassador for the game. I remember him on that commercial, that insurance commercial where he was, I think it was Geico. He was blocking people and was like, no, 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 and he was still being an ambassador for basketball and stuff like that. So, truly will be missed. Another guy who deserves all the flowers and praise that he got. Again, didn't win a championship ring, but championships shouldn't always define greatness. Greatness should be how you're perceived by your peers and what you did on the court. And Dikembe Mutombo was clearly a great player and will be missed.
Yeah, Mutombo, man, came from that lineage of great Georgetown centers, man. Patrick Ewing, and Alonzo Mourning, and such, man. So he was from that. He's from that great lineage. And then another thing about Dikembe, I think that people that kind of goes under a little under the radar with him is when he first came out in the league, he was an all around, like he was a scorer too. Like he was a guy that he was the Denver Nuggets team, pretty much, essentially. I mean, he wasn't They had a couple other guys, but he was definitely like that guy. I mean, they depended on him to do the scoring, to play the defense, everything. I mean, as he got older and sustained his career, he became more known as just more the defender and the rim protector and
Right.
such. But Dikembe, he was. I mean, there was a point in time where he did it all, man. He used to put points on the board as well, man. So, but just rest in peace to these greats, man. Dikembe Mutombo, Pete Rose, John Amos, man. I mean, these are all, like I said, great men that, for me growing up, were a big part of my childhood and youth growing up, man. So definitely want to just rest in peace, condolences to all of their families, and their legacies will live on, man. But that's all I got for today, man. Adam, unless you got anything else to say, man, we can get ready to wrap things up.
Let's put a bow on it.
Thank you all for coming out, man. This is another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. Make sure y'all go to my channel, Mac the Giants Fan. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Go to my guy, Adam Costas' channel. Hit that thumbs up. Hit them subscribe buttons, man. Go to the Hardcore Sports Network and hit them thumbs up and hit the subscribe button as well, man. But definitely appreciate you guys coming out, man. Been a great show. Chat was active. Appreciate that, man. We'll be back next Wednesday, man, breaking down the week 5 action. Myself, Mac the Giants fan, my guy Adam Costas, a super dope co-host. We'll see y'all next Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, and by the way, one more last thing. I'm not gonna be able to do an aftermath this week. Obviously, like I said, I'm not even going to be able to see the game, so definitely ain't going to be able to do an aftermath following up the game. So we'll be back. We'll resume that week 6, man. We be back with that week 6. But do appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks again, and we'll be back next Wednesday. Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa Giants Fan.